My sister demanded I cancel a life-changing job interview to be her chauffeur, and when I refused, my father threw me against the wall. They thought I was just their punching bag. They forgot I had an escape plan, and I set a trap they never saw coming. This is where the story truly begins, and you won't want to miss what happens. Make sure you're subscribed to see it through to the end. We're always curious. Where in the world are you all watching from today? Let us know in the comments. The cheap blazer felt like cardboard, scratching at my neck as I practiced my answers in the mirror. My reflection showed a 23-year-old woman with tired eyes, trying to project a confidence I hadn't earned yet. This interview wasn't just an interview. It was for a junior marketing associate position at a top firm. It was my escape hatch, my ticket out of this house and into a life where I wasn't just Lauren, the family servant. I was running a low-grade fever, my body aching from stress and lack of sleep, but I didn't care. I would crawl to this interview if I had to. That's when the text message lit up my phone. It was from my sister, Chloe. "Need a ride to the mall, be there in 10. I sighed, typing back, "Can't, Chloe, I have my final interview in less than 2 hours. Her reply was instant. "Lol, who cares, cancel it. Megan and Jess are waiting." My stomach twisted. "I can't cancel it, it's important." The typing bubble appeared and disappeared before the phone rang. I answered, and her shriek filled the room. "Mom and Dad said you have to drive me." "It's not fair, you never do anything for me." Before I could even answer, my bedroom door burst open. It was my father, Mark, his face already turning a familiar, blotchy red. "What's this I hear about you upsetting your sister?" he boomed. I stood up, my prepared answers for "What's your biggest weakness?" evaporating. "I have my job interview, Dad, the one I told you about." He scoffed, a deep, rattling sound. "That little computer thing, Chloe needs a ride. Family comes first." The finality in his voice was chilling, but the job, the future, made me brave. "No," I said, my voice shaking but firm. "I'm not missing this." The betrayal was worse than the fever itself. The word no hung in the air, thick and poisonous. My father's eyes narrowed. He wasn't used to hearing it from me. Chloe appeared behind him, a smug look on her 19-year-old face, perfectly content to let our father fight her battles. "See," she whined, "she's so selfish. She just doesn't want me to have any fun." My father stepped fully into my small room, invading my space. "You're a recent graduate, Lauren. You're unemployed," he said, spitting the word like an insult. "Your job right now is to help this family. Now give Chloe the keys." I clutched my portfolio to my chest like a shield. "It's my car, Dad. I paid for it with my part-time job in college, and I am not canceling this interview." His face darkened. "Don't you talk back to me." I flinched, a lifetime of conditioning warring with the single spark of defiance. I'm just stating a fact, I have to go." As I moved to step past him, he blocked me. "You're going nowhere until your sister is happy." His voice was low, and that was always more dangerous than the yelling. Chloe, from the hallway, chimed in, "Just give it up, Lauren. You're probably not going to get the job anyway. You're not smart enough." That was when I saw it, the flicker of agreement in my father's eyes. He thought it too. He was about to crush my one chance just to appease a teenager's whim. But they had forgotten one crucial thing. They had forgotten about Aunt Caroline. My father, Mark, was a contractor. He was a man who built his life around the idea that he was the king of his castle and his word was law. He was loud, physically imposing, and had a temper that could turn on a dime. He had provided for us, yes, but at a cost. My mother, who passed away 5 years ago, had been the buffer. Without her, his focus and his favoritism had shifted entirely to Chloe. She was his princess, the one who could do no wrong. I was just the other one. The quiet, responsible one, which in his eyes made me the default maid, driver, and emotional punching bag. I had spent years making myself small, trying to earn a fraction of the affection he gave Chloe so freely. I'd worked through high school and college, saving every penny not just for tuition, but for the car he refused to help me with. I'd cooked, I'd cleaned, I'd mediated, all in the desperate hope that he would one day look at me and be proud. Chloe, on the other hand, had perfected the art of weaponized incompetence. At 19, her only profession was being our father's daughter. She was polished, with perfectly manicured nails and a wardrobe I'd accidentally funded every time I bought groceries for the house. She wasn't unintelligent, but she was profoundly lazy and deeply entitled. She saw my ambitions not as something to respect, but as a direct inconvenience to her. My interview was an obstacle to her trip to the mall. My car was her unpaid taxi service. She would often make comments about my future. Why are you trying so hard? Just find a rich man to take care of you, like I'm going to. She was a perfect mirror of our father's worst values, and he adored her for it. The stalemate in my bedroom was broken by pure, unadulterated rage. When I tried to push past him, my father grabbed my arm. "I said," he hissed, "you are not leaving." "Get off of me," I yelled, pulling back. That's when he snapped. With a roar, he shoved me. Hard. It wasn't a small push, it was a full body weight assault. My back and head slammed into the drywall with a sickening thud. Stars exploded behind my eyes, and the air was stolen from my lungs. I slid down the wall, landing in a heap. For a second, the only sound was my own ragged breathing. Chloe didn't gasp. She didn't rush to help. She just stood in the doorway and said, "Wow, Dad, now she's definitely gonna be late." That was the turning point. The physical pain was sharp, but the clarity it brought was sharper. I wasn't his daughter, I was his property. As he stood over me panting, I slowly, deliberately reached into my pocket. My hand was shaking, but I managed to unlock my phone. I fumbled with the apps, my thumb finally finding the voice memo icon. I pressed record. "Get up," he spat. "You're not hurt, stop being dramatic." I stayed on the floor, the phone now clutched in my hand, recording. "You're insane," I whispered, the audio catching my shaky voice. "You're insane," he bellowed. "I'll show you insane. You get up and drive your sister, or I'll take that car and sell it for scrap." Chloe laughed. "Yeah, Lauren, get up, you're embarrassing yourself." I had it. I had everything. I scrambled to my feet, locked my door, and as they pounded on the wood, I sent the file to one person, Aunt Caroline. My aunt's reply was immediate. "Get out now. Go to the safe place. I am on my way." The safe place was a 24-hour diner 2 towns over, a plan we'd made years ago after he'd broken my laptop in a fit of rage. I grabbed my purse, my portfolio, and the spare key I kept hidden. I didn't bother with clothes. I jammed a chair under the doorknob, climbed out my bedroom window, and dropped onto the soft grass of the side yard. I didn't look back. I ran to my car and sped away, the adrenaline drowning out the pain in my back. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the steering wheel. I called the interviewers, my voice cracking. "This is Lauren. I've had a family emergency. A violent one. Is there any possibility of a video call?" The coordinator, bless her, heard the panic in my voice and sent me a link, no questions asked. I did my final interview from a sticky booth at the Sunrise Diner, my back screaming in protest, my hair still wild from my escape. I must have looked insane, but I've never been more focused. I channeled all my fear and rage into poise. I nailed every question. As I finished, Aunt Caroline, a university professor with a spine of steel, slid into the booth opposite me. She didn't hug me. She just looked at my bruised face and said, "He's not getting away with this." She listened to the recording. Her face, usually so warm and academic, turned to ice. "Lauren," she said, "this is not just a family argument. This is assault. You have the proof. What do you want to do?" I looked at the video link on my phone, then at her. "I want to press charges." Aunt Caroline was a historian, but she moved with the efficiency of a 5-star general. We went from the diner to the police station in her neighboring county, where she knew the chief. We filed the report. I played the recording. The officer's face went grim. He took my statement, had photos taken of the red mark on my back and the scrape on my elbow from the wall. Because my father owned the home, I was technically a tenant. The recording, combined with the visible injury, was more than enough. Aunt Caroline's voice was firm. "We need an emergency restraining order. She is not safe." They agreed. An officer was dispatched to serve my father, forcing him to vacate the premises immediately. My phone, which I'd put on silent, was a wildfire of texts. Dozens from Chloe, starting with "Where are you?" and escalating to "Dad is gonna kill you, you're so dead." Then a single, terrifying text from my father, "You've made the biggest mistake of your life." I felt sick, but Aunt Caroline put her hand on mine. "He's the one who made the mistake, Lauren. He just doesn't know it yet." The call from the police came an hour later. "Ms. Lauren, your father has been served." He was. Resistant, but he has vacated the property. You are clear to go home and get your belongings. We can provide an escort. I looked at my aunt. I'm not going back. Good, she said. You're staying with me. Just then, an email pop. Ped up on my phone, from the marketing firm. Dear Lauren, we were incredibly impressed by your grace under pressure. We are delighted to offer you the position. I burst into tears, a sound that was half sob, half laugh. We drove to the house the next day with a police escort. It was surreal, pulling up to my own home with a cruiser. My father's truck was gone. Chloe was sitting on the front porch, her face tear-stained and furious. The moment I stepped out of my aunt's car, she launched herself at me. You witch, she screamed. You got Dad arrested. He's at a hotel. He's going to lose his contracts. The officer stepped between us. Ma'am, you need to stay back. I ignored her. I walked past her up the steps and into the house I'd grown up in. It was silent. He had left in a hurry. A chair was overturned in the kitchen. I went to my room and began, methodically, to pack my bags. Chloe followed me, ranting. You've ruined everything. All this over a stupid interview. You're so selfish. I turned, my packed suitcase in my hand. I looked at this 19-year-old girl who was completely, blissfully unaware of the world. I got the job, Chloe, I said, my voice calm and clear. Her mouth snapped shut. A job that pays more in a year than Dad makes in 2. A job that's moving me into a new apartment in a new city. A job I got 30 minutes after your father threw me into a wall. Her expression faltered, the rage replaced by a flicker of calculation. She saw her free ride disappearing. But, who's going to drive me to the mall? She whispered. I almost laughed. I zipped my bag, walked past her, and paused at the front door. You're 19, get a job, buy a car, or better yet, ask Dad. The downfall was swift. My father, served with a restraining order and facing an assault charge with audio evidence, took a plea deal. It involved a hefty fine, a mandatory and expensive anger management program, and probation. Several of his clients, hearing about the domestic disturbance, got spooked and pulled their contracts. His business faltered. Without me there to cook, clean, and manage the household bills he forgot, the house fell into disarray. Chloe, forced to actually parent her own father and deal with his rages, was miserable. She had to get a part-time job at the very mall she loved so much, just to pay for her own gas. She called me once, crying, but I didn't answer. I thrived. I moved into a sunny studio apartment 2 hours away, furnished with things I picked out. Aunt Caroline helped me set up a new bank account and cut the last financial tie to my father. My new job was everything I'd dreamed of. It was challenging and fulfilling, and my bosses praised my calm under pressure. They had no idea. 6 months later, I was running my own small campaign. I occasionally get a bitter text from Chloe, but I just block the number. I'm in therapy, learning to undo the damage, but for the first time in my life, I am free. My father didn't just throw me against a wall, he threw me out of a cage I didn't know I was in. And I will never, ever be going back.